Hi, welcome to the ZYTO Wellness Webinar Series. We're excited to have you guys with us today. Thank you so much for joining us. We have an excellent presenter today that we're excited to bring on. Her name is Nina Venturella, and she'll be joining us in just a minute. Just to get started, my name is Sarah Donachie. I'm the events manager here at ZYTO, and I'm really excited to be your host today. We have some amazing presenters that have been with us for these wellness webinars, and we're very grateful for their expertise and the knowledge and understanding that they've been able to provide for this series over the past several months. Along with that, if you have any specific comments on these webinars or suggestions for presenters or topics that you would like to hear, we would love to hear your feedback. We're always trying to listen to our viewers and see what we can do to improve these webinar series. So if you have any comments or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. Just go ahead and send those to events@zyto.com, events@zyto.com, and we'd love to hear all of that information and that feedback. So let's go ahead. ZYTO is a health and wellness technology company. We have, I'm sure many of you are familiar with this, but we have the ZYTO hand cradle, which is a Class 2 registered medical device. It does not diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases, but it helps to provide a better insight into health and wellness and to help make better wellness decisions for you. We work with a lot of different companies, a lot of different practitioners, and we have been amazed at the insight that it's been able to help people with and to improve the wellness of millions of people. One of the things that we have coming up in October is the ZYTO Global Conference. We've held this event in the past, but it's been several years since we've done that. And we're excited to bring this conference back. It's a chance for us to come together for 2 full days. It's October 19th and 20th. And we'll come together on those 2 days to hear all sorts of different presentations and classes on a variety of subjects and topics. And we have some amazing presenters that will be joining us there, some excellent practitioners and very experienced individuals that will be there to share some fabulous understanding and knowledge. So we really encourage you to check that out. There's a list on the internet on our website at ZYTO.com. You can go there to check out a list of the speakers and some of the topics that we'll have, and we would love to see you there. The registration is now open for that, so we'd love to have you check that out. So with that, I'd like to introduce Nina really quickly. Nina is a certified nutrition specialist. She's a certified personal trainer. She's the founder and developer of Extract, which we'll be talking about today. She's a teacher, a speaker, and an author. So she has some excellent insights and excellent expertise that she'll be sharing with us. So Nina, let's go ahead and bring her on. Tell us about yourself. We'd love to hear a little bit about you and what led you to found Majestic Wellness.
Okay, well, it is a journey, so I'm going to take you on this journey with me because it's not something I just woke up one day and just said, hey, I'm going to talk about the lymphatic system. It became a journey for my own health and well-being. I was 19 years old. This is 20-some years ago, obviously, and I woke up one day, went to bed healthy, woke up very sick. And what I mean by very sick is it felt like all my organs were shutting down at once, and instantly I thought it was the flu. I thought it was some kind of a viral, maybe a bacterial infection. I didn't know what it was. So I didn't do anything for a while. I thought, well, it'll go away. And it got progressively worse after about 3 weeks. Now, obviously, if it was something viral, it would go away within a week or so. So I knew it was more than what I was thinking. So I thought, I'm going to go to where most people go when you don't feel good, is you go to the medical doctor, you start your GP. They take all their random tests, and they told me there was nothing wrong with me. So like what we want to, we're concerned about your symptoms. And some of the symptoms I had, just to give you an example, was like chronic fatigue, brain fog to where I couldn't hold a conversation. I mean, this happened overnight. It obviously was cumulative, but the symptoms manifested all at once. I had woken up with a rash. I woke up where I could barely move without any kind of nerve or joint pain. And it was so severe. It felt like someone was shooting me, shooting my joints with some kind of a needle. It was terrible. So I went to the doctor. They told me there's nothing wrong with me. They're going to take me to a specialist. I went to all these different specialists. And I mean, we're talking, I was like, a pincushion. They poked and prodded. They took every scan known to mankind. They did every ounce of blood work, and they could not find anything wrong with me. So this is what they told me. It's in your head. You're overworked, you're stressed, and you're a little nuts. And so that's what their diagnosis was. And it brought me to write my book, Unveiled Truth, and I put what doctors don't know will hurt you. I don't dog doctors, but what I will tell you is that doctors are phenomenal for emergency. I think doctors are wonderful when it comes to that. But when it came to my issues of sickness and disease, they couldn't give me the help. They couldn't tell me what was wrong. They just told me it was in my head. That's not acceptable for somebody who's literally to the point where they're bedridden. So I went through this for 2 years. 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And I got to the point where I was bedridden, where I could only go to the bathroom for about 6 months. I thought I was dying. And I mean, at that point, you kind of want to, because you're just like, I can't go on life like this. I was in my 20s.
And they still just couldn't find anything wrong.
They could not. So
wow.
I ended up getting very depressed, obviously, and I was losing hope very quickly until a friend of mine knew what I was going through, and she said, "Have you ever gone to a naturopath?" And so she put this program together, and I'm going to be honest with you, I was able to eat 5 things, and one of those things that I was able to eat was spelt. And if you've never eaten spelt, it's like eating cardboard. It is the worst thing possible. And if you have to eat it morning, noon, and night, it's crazy. Matter of fact, it's so funny. If I go to the store today, I talk about triggers. I see spelt and I run from spelt because it triggers such an emotional response to me, because I lived at that place for years to where I couldn't eat anything but that. I lost tons of weight.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is not sustainable. I can't live like this. I went down to like 80 pounds. So I was looking for a solution. I was looking for an answer for my own health and well-being. Now, I've been in the industry. I'm in the, nutritionist and personal training. So I knew some people in the industry, and I started researching. And I'm like, listen, have you ever heard of Candida? And if you can't, have you had? What do I do? What's the cure? And everyone's like, oh, there's really no cure. You can maintain it. You can, you can help overcome some of the symptoms, but they're always going to be there. And so to me, that was a terrible diagnosis. So I started just researching books, and I read the Yeast Connection, from cover to cover several times, and they're all saying the same thing. There's really no cure for it. Now, again, this is 20 some years ago. I mean, things have really evolved since then, right? So anyway, I go back and I do what they say. I do start to feel better. The brain fog starts to clear up, but I'm miserable. I am in my 20s. I want to go out. I want to have pasta. I'm from Chicago. I love pizza. This is not acceptable for the quality of life that I want to live. It just wasn't. So thank you that I didn't accept the normal for that. And I wanted to keep moving forward to find that missing link. And that's where this whole journey starts from. So after I got diagnosed with this, I was introduced to a company that was a multi-level marketing company. And they had a product that was phenomenal, and it really helps to stimulate my immune system. And it had like herbs like pycnogenol and all these other different herbs to really stimulate my immune system and boost my immune system so that I could start having a normal function of a life again, quality of life. Within a week of taking this product, I felt amazing, to where I was up out of bed, symptom-free, no symptoms whatsoever. And
oh, wow. That's incredible.
Everything, but I still felt 100%. My energy was soaring through the roof. Now, if you know multi-level marketing, like everybody does, when you go from one extreme to the other, people see it, they get excited, and then you share with them, and then you start to climb the ranks pretty high, right? Well, I was one of those people in that company that was on the stage and, talking about her success story and all that, and I won a trip to Italy. Why I'm even telling you this is because it's such a segue into why we're here today. So This is a journey. So I told you, and so basically I won this trip to Italy, and I'm with my ex-husband at the time. And that's, you need to know that too, because that's part of the journey. And anyway, so she's like, where are you going with this? So anyway, I went a trip to Italy. I go to this trip to Italy, and I'm in Rome and Florence. Not a bad place to be, right? I stumble into this wellness clinic. It's a very tiny little clinic, not much bigger than, a bedroom. And I walk in and she's got all these different root herbs and some really weird stuff. And all of a sudden I'm in there for about 5 minutes and this lady from behind, like in the back, she motions to me. There's 20 people in there. She motions to me and she brings me back to her. She grabs my hand. I'm in Italy. This woman speaks English. Okay, that's amazing in itself. So
Right.
she speaks broken English. And she asked me a question that has changed my life to this day. Have you ever heard of the lymphatic system? And I said, something with lymph nodes. She goes, it's your garbage disposal. Everything stores there. She goes, I want you to go back and just marinate on that, meditate on that. And I said, okay. And I didn't think anything of it. And if you guys have ever had an aha moment, it's life-changing. Well, I go back and I'm sitting on the plane and it's a long plane ride. And all of a sudden I started thinking about what she said. And she said, everything stores there. And you know what I'm thinking? I bet you yeast stores there. I bet you if I can learn about this lymphatic system, I can get rid of this yeast and live a normal life and eat pizza again. Because that's seriously all I cared about. I just wanted to eat pizza again. Chicago has the best pizza ever. So that's all I cared about.
Okay.
So that was my motivation. Okay. I'm starting to feel better. So I didn't care about anything else. So I researched the lymphatic system and I realized that there are people out there that can actually cleanse the system. They do, drainage, they do lymphatic work. And so I decided for 1 year, I'm just going to go and I'm going to start doing all these different sessions. And one of the things that I could not eat that created high anxiety, that was one of my other symptoms, was corn. And I know corn's not good for you anyway, but I love those Frito corn chip things. I loved them. They were one of my favorites. And so I wanted to eat those again. But as soon as I would eat it, the anxiety would just bubble up, right?
Right.
So once I would do these sessions, and I was doing them on a regular basis, getting, session after session, spent a lot of money doing this, but it was worth it to me to get that healing that I was looking for. And I would wait a few days like they told me, and I'm talking, I did lymphatic drainage, lymphatic massage, I did manual lymph drain. I did all these different, everyone had their own little techniques. There weren't a lot of people, but there were some people out there. So I took several other sessions. And I would try a couple days after because I had to flush the stuff out with water and all that. And then I would eat that corn chip, and I would eat a few of them. Within minutes, it just would rise up again. Maybe not as strong, but I still had that anxiety. So so I'm like, okay, I don't understand the correlation here. I don't understand why I even know about the lymphatic system and why I had candida. And I believe that there's a reason for everything. We all have a picture. And this was forming my picture, but it didn't make sense. There are pieces to the puzzle. They just didn't make sense. So I said, okay, so I have the understanding of the lymphatic system. I kind of know what it does, but these treatments aren't doing anything for me. So I didn't understand the connection. Okay. So now, so I start feeling better. I'm taking this product. I'm feeling better. Things are starting to progress. I moved to California. My father dies. I moved to California, and I had a dream before all this happened that I was going to open up this huge wellness retreat. I mean, it's huge. I've never seen it to this day. So I try to get it working. I try to get the money to make it happen. I'm 19 years old. This is right before I get sick. I have this dream, and I get a lot of dreams. So I pay attention to my dreams. And so as I get this dream, I try to make this happen. I'm not getting the money. Nothing's happening. The doors are closing. I'm trying to do this for 2 years. So I kind of just shelf it. Well, after I start feeling better, years go on. I'm living a normal life again. I understand the lymphatic system, but I'm not doing anything with the lymphatic system. So I decided to open up my own weight loss and wellness center. I'm married to my husband, who is my husband now, and we're sitting out having lunch. And I said, I think I want to start opening up a wellness center, but I want to try it on a smaller scale. So the next day I get $50,000 to open up my wellness center. Talk about timing. So I open up this wellness center. We call it Spectacular Health. It's a weight loss and wellness center. And it's this all-inclusive center. And we have, all kinds of different things. We have the foot detox. We do wraps. We do, toning tables, fitness, all kinds of different things. And I'm in business about 6 weeks. And all of a sudden I get this lady who has edema. Now I understand edema is a condition of a blocked up lymphatic system. It's in the ankles.
Right.
Remember, I had the understanding of the lymphatic system, but I've never done body work in my entire life. Never went to school, never read a book on it. But this woman has a need. She's on my table. I take the wrap off. I say, let me just try something on you. I start working on her. I start doing some work on her, maybe half an hour, just on her legs. She gets up off the table. The next morning, she calls me at 8 o'clock in the morning. She goes, what did you do to me? Now I'm thinking I hurt her because I didn't know what I was doing. She goes, whatever you did, the swelling is gone. She goes, I have had this condition for 14 years. Nobody can help me, but the swelling is completely gone. I woke up and she goes, I have a twin sister who has the same exact problem. Can you help her? And I'm like, sure, bring her in. So I start doing the same thing on her. Guess what? She gets the same results. Her swelling goes down. Now they're excited about this. I'm calling it lymphatic drainage. I don't know what else to call it because I have experience with lymphatic work, but I don't do the same thing that they're doing. I'm doing something that seems right to me. I'm doing something intuitively that makes sense. That makes
Right.
sense. So, so time goes on, and I start seeing people on a regular basis. They're hearing about me. I live in Palm Springs, California at the time, which I still do, and it's a very small valley, so everyone talks. Word of mouth hits, and all these people want to try this process. I'm still calling it lymphatic drainage. I don't know what to call it, but that's what I'm calling it. So all these people come in, but not only are they getting swollen reduced, they're losing inches immediately. Like they'll get off my table, they've lost a pant size. What's happening is they come in with limps or crutches, they're leaving without a crutch. I mean, these are things that people are coming in to see me for. We do a session of this process that I'm calling lymphatic work, and they're walking away. Now, time goes on, and not only am I working on the legs, but I'm working on the upper body, the face, head, everything. It's like being downloaded to me as I'm doing it, if that makes any sense. I believe it's a gift from God because it's divine, because I didn't learn it from any human being. And we all have gifts. This is mine. This is like my artistry. I mean, I believe God gives us all gifts of art or whatever that looks like. This is mine. And it just works. So it's like I can see where the fluid is in their bodies and to move it. I've never seen anything like it. So I'm calling it lymphatic work. Everyone's hearing about it. They're all getting these amazing results. I have one lady who's in her 90s, because I live in Palm Springs. It's older people, 60 and plus, and she comes in. She can't move her range of motions like this. After we do a session, I'm not kidding you, her arms are like this. She is dancing in my place. She's like, woohoo, I can do this again, and she's all excited. People who've had symptoms of shooting pain and nerves and joints after doing a session, they're not feeling that pain anymore. I can't explain it. All I know is people are getting results and it's working. So I'm excited about it. So months go by. We're getting really busy. This becomes a signature process. I'm still calling lymphatic work. I get a girl who actually does lymphatic. She specializes in it. She's done hours of work for lymphatic. She goes, I heard about your process. I want you to work on me. So I go in and I do a session on her. At this time, it's about an hour. And she gets up off the table and she goes, oh my gosh, this is nothing like lymphatic work. You need to come up with a name for this. This is so out of the box. So again, because I believe this is from God, I'm like, okay, God, you gave me this gift. Now you got to give me a name for it. So I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning with this name. And this is how we launched the name Extract. So X means cancel. T is toxic. R is release. I didn't get the A right away. One of my clients had the A, so I had to wait to go back to work to get the A. And then C is cellular and T is transformation. When I went back to work, one of my clients said, A is accelerated. So T is toxic, R is release, A is accelerated, C is cellular, and T is transformation. X cancels
out. And the X
out
was
those.
cancel it.
It cancels, right. So what we're finding is that people are getting transformed on a cellular level, and it's canceling out the old to bring in the new. So my theory has always been, why are we taking herbs when our bodies are so toxic? Why are we taking vitamins? We're just going to make ourselves more toxic. Everything has to go through the liver, it processes, right? It just doesn't make sense. So my philosophy is always get rid of the old before you put in the new. It just makes sense to me. And that was before I even knew about the lymphatic system or anything like that. It just being a nutritionist and personal trainer and seeing people, the clients on a regular basis, that just made sense to me. So that birth extract, which we now call an oil change for your body, if that makes any sense. So I give this analogy, and this is great because I think that if I did a survey, and I've done this, if I did a survey and asked people, what is your lymphatic system? Most people will say something with their lymph nodes, but they don't understand the importance of the lymphatic system and what it really means to our overall system for health and well-being, both emotionally and physically. And there's an actual tie and a bridge to this, and I'll go into that. So the oil change for your body is an analogy like your own car. So everybody has a car, and we have to maintain our car. We have to get an oil change. If we don't get an oil change, what will happen to our cars? They
won't work. Right.
So our bodies do the same thing. They get mucked up with the air, the food, the water, chemicals, different traumas that we experience, both physically and emotionally, and our bodies hold on to that stuff. And so we become walking waste dumps. and our bodies can't heal the way that they're designed to because they're too toxic, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
so this process extract helps us clear that and reset the lymphatic system at such a level that it actually retrains it. We create a new memory. Now, how do we do that? And how do I know? Well, let me give you an example. I can use myself as an example too, but let me give you an example. So I'll do a session on somebody, right? I'll do a session. I won't see them for 2 to 3 weeks. I'll pick up where I left off. So I know it's creating a new memory. I know that just like your muscle, we can train your lymphatic system to start to maintain, to start to release on its own. Because I'll see my clients, maybe I'll see them maybe 4 or 5 times all in a row, and then I won't see them for a couple months. I pick up right where I left off. And they're not dealing with the same stuff they were dealing with before, if that makes any sense. So I know it's creating a new pattern, it's creating a new memory, and it's training the lymphatic system to do what it's called to do, because our bodies don't have a pump. But I'm creating that pump and that release so that I can actually move that fluid, bring it into the place where it can eliminate, and we do it through the bladder. So we're not just going from node to node. We're not just moving it from here to there. We're actually moving this stuff, releasing it so that the body can eliminate it through your urine or bowel movement. So it's no longer in you. And what we found too is that people have residual illness. What does that look like? Well, residual illness is why people get shingles, because the chickenpox virus still is dormant. There's a cellular memory that we hold on to as well. And so when we hold on to that memory, our bodies respond to that memory, right? Whether it's trauma physically or emotionally, our bodies respond. Our bodies are just taking a cue from what's going on emotionally or physically. It's just manifesting. So our bodies have a signal, and our souls have a signal, our emotions have a signal, and they actually start to communicate. And so whatever's going on at emotional level, we call that a root, the body manifests. So it works on 2 different levels. It works on a physical level, and it works on an emotional level, but they're combined. They talk to each other. And when there's a disconnect or their signal isn't working right, the body will start to pick up that signal that says there's an imbalance. And that's where we start to have symptoms, and sickness and disease and pain sets in. So if you look at the root instead of just look at the symptom, so when we're at the symptom level, we're looking at a temporary fix. When we're at the root level, we're looking at a permanent fix. So when I can't get my clients to a permanent level, I know it's not physical anymore. I know I need to go emotionally to them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So what does that process look like for you?
So that process starts out where basically I get the intent from the client. So I have to get, first of all, they have to know what your lymphatic system is. I tell them it's an oil change for your body. I want to be able to relate to my clients. If I talk to them over their head, they're not going to get it. They're not going to receive it. So I need them to understand we are going to take and we're going to remove all that old mucky junk, both from emotional areas as well as physical, so that your body can actually do what it was called to do, which is heal itself. Okay? Then what I do is I lay them on the table. I do a touch test. This is actual touch. So this is body work. It's touch, but it hits all the meridians at once. So it hits all 12 meridians. So it is working on a vibrational frequency level through energy as well, but it's not energy work. It's touch, but it's creating an alignment in the energy, the chi patterns, if that makes any sense. And so what we do is we lay them on the table, we do a touch test, we let them know what areas we're gonna move, and then we just start moving that fluid, and we go up towards the heart and down towards the heart. We pump it out, we direct it, we move it, and then we get the body to start to respond in a new level. So once we get rid of the old, the new can actually start to take place, and there's an actual exchange that happens on the table, on the actual massage table. So I believe extract is that bridge that ties the emotion and the physical together, so that there's an alignment and agreement with each other, so that the body can actually start to heal, because the soul is now the mind, will, and emotions. Your emotions are now being healed. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So I told you it's a little bit of a journey.
Definitely.
But
that is quite the process.
Yeah. So what we've noticed specifically with extract is it goes to the weakest link. It's called quantum feedback. So it goes by intent. So if your client isn't giving you intent, if they're not ready to release what they need to release, if they're not ready to receive what they need to receive, they're going to block that. That communication will not allow it to flow through. So the facilitator who does extract is getting the intent, the communication from the person who's receiving the process. So there's this navigation, okay? But if I don't get the intent, you're not giving me permission, then I get blocked. So I need to be released to be able to do what I need to do, and you need to be able to allow me to do that. So you give me permission, the intent to do that. So it is touch. It's not massage. We call it detoxification. It does reset the lymphatic system. It does help release emotional traumas on a cellular level, create new cellular memories. It helps create new patterns, new mindsets. It helps give us a new perspective because we're getting rid of the old ideas and the old emotional issues that are manifesting physically. So we start to see people who had symptoms of certain ailments now no longer have those symptoms. And it's very, very quick. I'll have people who come to me that have had Lyme's disease, and they have tried, and they're maybe in the first, second stages of certain areas of Lyme's disease. And I'm not saying we cure Lyme's. What I'm saying is some of the symptoms of Lyme's start to dissipate because after they get an extract, we're getting things in alignment and agreement with each other, if that makes any sense. So we're getting rid of the imbalances to create alignment. So the body it knows what to do. It already knows how to heal. We're just giving it that avenue to be able to do so.
Okay.
Without any kind of hesitation or hindrance, because now the body is allowing that to happen through the lymphatic system, so they bridge together. So these are some of the things that extract does. It goes to the weakest link. So whatever that person needs. I mean, I've seen weight loss with people that would blow your mind. I've seen people, and I have testimonials of this.
Yeah, what types of results have you seen with all of this?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to talk about my favorite one because I think weight loss and cellulite reduction are huge. And when people get an extract, they instantly know, women love this, their legs get toner, their arms, they get rid of that little wave area, they'll lose back fat, the neck and top, guys start to lose, they go down to their belt buckles. I mean, that's instant because I found that toxins and fat they attract, they encapsulate. So your body flushes out toxins. When you drink a lot of water, the fat just kind of flows with it. So there's this encapsulation that happens, and instantly they start to lose weight. Now, I also believe has a lot to do with the emotion. So sometimes emotions will trigger weight issues, right? Or some types of traumas. So because we're reversing that, we're changing that cellular memory, we're pulling up that emotion, a lot of times they'll lose weight because it was connected to that emotion. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yep, definitely.
Okay. So that's one of the ways I really love it. The other thing I love is that we get people off of canes and walkers. So they'll come in with aches and pains, or they're supposed to go for knee surgery, and they're no longer going to knee surgery. They don't even have to get the surgery anymore. They're actually walking better, the mobility. We've had a gentleman from Young Living Oils. I used to be a speaker there, and he's 70 years old. He's now passed, but I brought my table to the farm at the Young Living Convention Center, and I did a little mini sessions on his legs. This man's 70-some years old. He was 20 minutes later, I got done. He's running down the field saying he feels like a 20-year-old because his energy came back. He had great mobility. I mean, those things you don't forget. We have a little girl, and her mother is actually on our testimony on our video, and a little girl who had speech issues, and she had delayed speech. And the doctor said, she's going to have to go speech therapy. Well, they've done 1 extract on her speech started improving. 2 extracts, she started putting words together. 3, she was doing sentences. 4 extracts, she's now doing full conversations. We have a lot of testimonials on speech. Children with autism now love touch. They're asking for their extracts. We have a lot of parents that learn this just for their children. I mean, there's a myriad.
So how would that all tie in together, or how would that tie into the lymphatic system, I guess?
Well, again, because extract is so out of the box, traditional lymphatic work, remember I told you, goes from node to node. It's moving fluid, but the fluids, the stuff is still there. You're just opening up one area to the other, right? You're removing congestion and blockage from one area and bringing it to the other. What we're doing with extract, we're actually taking that fluid and moving it out, but that fluid, that waste is connected to the emotions and the trauma. It's all connected. Does that make sense? There's a connection.
Right.
So extract is the bridge. That
mind-body connection.
Exactly. So extract is the bridge for the communication so that they communicate together and they line up together so that there's a healthy signal so that the body and soul together, the emotions can heal together. See, I think what happens is we try to work on one area by itself and they need to come together. And where I think extract strives is it brings it together. So if you think of a bridge, you can't get to the other side without the bridge, right? Well, it's like getting people from one emotion area to a healthy state with the physical area to the healthy state, but the bridge is extract, bringing them together. Is
Okay.
that making sense to you?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And so the other distinction is we're redirecting fluid. And what I mean by that is normal lymphatic fluid traditionally goes through the colon, and that can take some days to release and eliminate. We're actually pushing it and redirecting it so that the bladder picks it up and eliminates it through the urine, through urine. So people are urinating immediately right after. They feel a lightness. So we'll do one leg and not the other. And I can show you the differences. I think we have a picture of that. What it looks like when I do one leg versus the other. You'll see a color difference. They feel lighter. We've actually moved that fluid towards the bladder so the body can eliminate it through the urine. And it continually releases as they drink water. They'll just flush it out. But we have people getting up off our table in the middle of a session where they're just continually urinating. It doesn't stop because we're just moving that stuff and they're dumping it, moving it, dumping it. So we can pump it, but normally we can't move it. So we're learning we're moving it, and then they're dumping it. I don't eliminate for people, but I can get them to move it, bring it to where it needs to be so they can eliminate. So what I want you to notice is the legs. So there's the leg on, yeah, you can see the difference in the color, the size, right? There's a before and after. So the color and the size, that happens pretty quickly usually within a few minutes, you'll start to see a different color. You'll start to see the difference in the size. You'll see the fluid moving, and you'll see they lost inches. And sometimes.
And do those results last?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
does that
Yeah.
kind of fade out, or do those last?
No, it lasts, and that's the beauty part of this. Remember, I told you it's creating a new memory, and we're training the lymphatic system. So, here's a great testimony. I had a lady who's in her 80s, and she had elephantitis, where she couldn't even put shoes on. And I started working on her 3 days a week, just her lower body. I didn't even do anything with her upper. And after 2 months, 3 days a week, very consistently, I haven't seen her in 3 years. She's now wearing shoes. So yes, we are changing the memory, the cellular memory of what's going on so that the body can actually do what it's called to do. We're just retraining it, resetting it. And so those results where you can see even on the gentleman, his kneecap looks higher. Do you see that? On the one, It's redder, but you can see the kneecap looks higher and more defined versus the other one. It's because we're moving that fluid, so he's not weighed down as much, and it looks like his skeletal is kind of even getting more in alignment. Everything just starts to align. If you understand the lymphatic system is your missing link to tie everything together, bridge everything together, and when you get that lymphatic system cleansed and reset, everything else can start to function the way it's called to, both optimally on a more optimal level. But I believe that lymphatic system, the understanding of the lymphatic system, knowing the capability of the lymphatic system, what it's capable of doing when you give it the right thing and you show it how to release, it will make such a huge difference in your health on an emotional level and physical level that people's lives will just start to escalate with optimal health. I've seen it. I've seen it too many times. I've seen it. My instructor's seen it. My facilitator's seen it. We all have the same testimonials. Every single person I can tell you that gets an extract, they get results, whether they feel it or see it. If it's not, remember you asked if it's lasting. Let me go back for a second. If they start to revert back, I'll know it's probably something emotional and I have to address it emotionally. And so we'll then look at the emotional issue of it. So if it's not something physical to where we can just get it to where it needs to go to maintain, the lymphatic system, then we'll go on to the emotional, and then we'll start there, and then we'll help to recreate that new pattern and that new memory from the emotion part so that the body actually lasts with those results.
Okay. So you've been talking about the lymphatic system and the kind of the power, I guess, that it really has. Can you talk a little bit about the body's ability to heal itself?
Sure. So our body's ability is designed to heal. God created us that way. And so it knows what it needs. It knows how to function without certain organs. I mean, we can get our gallbladders removed and they know how to function. So our bodies already have the right communication and the right information to be able to heal. But where it clogs up is when we have a lot of trauma. People have to understand trauma has a huge reason why our bodies cannot do what they're called to do, because our frequencies get lowered. When we have trauma, our frequency levels go down. We don't have the vibration that we're supposed to have. Our energy gets blocked, and our bodies cannot perform the way they're called to. But when you create that opportunity so that everything lines up and you clear out the energy, you bring in the frequency levels, And you could do that through the right oils and the right, products out there as well, but also through extract. Extract also helps bring up that frequency level. I have people that say they get off the table and they're vibrating. Remember I told you we're hitting those meridians? So we're opening up those levels of chi, those levels of energy too, with the touch though. So it's like a combination. It's like a 1-2 punch. We hit it, we open it up, and then the body just heals from there.
Okay. We did have a question that came in with asking about diabetics. So does this work with diabetic swelling in the feet and the legs?
I have had phenomenal results with people who've had diabetes with swelling. Yes, I can tell you people who've had, we call them cankles. They call them cankles. They haven't seen their ankles in years, are now seeing their ankles. And that's just not my testimonies. I really do want you to understand, this is not me saying it. These are my facilitators that I taught over the years that are giving you the same exact results. And the process starts after the very first session. It doesn't end there, but it does start there. And so we want people to get a series of these so that we can get them where they need to go. And it could be anywhere from 6 to 12 to 24, depending on the situation. If they're lymphedema, I've helped people who've had lymph nodes taken out. I've had people who have lymphedema, and we get them to that level to where they can start to maybe get rid of the wraps. If they have lymphedema, they get rid of the wraps. So they're living my whole goal is quality of life. I want people to live a more quality of life. If I can have extract do that for them emotionally and physically, I've done my job. And I believe that extract is that piece. It's not the only piece, but I believe it's that piece. And I'm talk to your practitioners about this. When you have other modalities, they're phenomenal, but sometimes you feel like there's something missing. I believe that extract is that missing piece. Try doing extract first and then do your modalities. Because I believe that once you have your body's cleared of certain areas and it aligns with your organs and your cells and everything else, then your body can receive what it needs to receive on a better level. So I tell people, if you're going to do raindrop or if you're going to do any kind of massage or any other modality, even craniosacral work, do extract first, because it'll take that modality to the next level. It's like it takes that, remember I told you that I feel like it's that missing link to bridge everything together, then anything else that you bring in is just going to add to it.
So you talked about some of these different modalities and how it works in connection with that. Is there anything specific that you feel like people need to change in their diet to make this more effective?
Well, I mean, obviously, diet and exercise is a great thing, but, and this is what I tell people. Your lymphatic system is going to work. It's just what you put in is going to make a difference, and it's going to make a difference on how fast you see results. So if you want the best results, you're going to follow my program, and you're going to do the nutrition, you're going to do the exercises, because it's just going to maximize results. But I will tell you, I've worked on people who don't do that, and they still do get results. Maybe not as fast, just like anything else, but I'm not advocating not to diet or exercise. I think it's fabulous, but I think it's the combination, right? It's the synergy of everything. I just think extract's part of that synergy. I think it's that missing link for the synergy of everything else to work together. And I feel like we need to make it first so that when we bring in nutrition, we clear that lymphatic system, we reset the lymphatic system, then we bring in the nutrition, the body can receive it better and assimilate better.
Excellent. So we do have a few more questions that have been coming in. One of those, do you do much with varicosities and varicose veins and that type of thing?
We've had people, because it does work on a vascular level, obviously, right? And working on the circulatory system. We've had people who've had noticeable differences in their veins. It's gone, like people who've had veins stripped. We've noticed that some of the effects of the veins being stripped have diminished. We've noticed that people who bruise easily are no longer bruising easily. So again, it's try and create that alignment so the body can heal even from a bruise or from any kind of vascular areas. I have seen significant results. Has it cured it? I don't say anything cures anything, but I will say it has significant results, and I have seen a difference, yes.
Okay. And then what about with chronic fatigue syndrome? Have you seen it benefit that?
Yeah. Night and day difference. We're talking immediately. The adrenals, I have seen people's adrenals go from like negative to positive. I've seen such great results with adrenals. We've done some dry blood testing. And one of the things that they saw mainly when we did before and afters were the adrenals, their toxin actually reduced, and their hormone levels actually stabilized. wise. Those are the 3 areas that we really focus on. But adrenals, yes. Energy, yes. We've worked on people with who are on dialysis, and they had no energy before, and they would come in and now they're cleaning their house. So yes, energy, chronic fatigue, absolutely. This does wonders for people who are suffering in those areas.
So what is the typical protocol for your patients? Are there a certain number of visits, or what does that typically look like?
So we call them clients.
Clients, yes.
Okay. And somebody comes in and I do a basic coaching class with them, and I just basically ask them some detailed questions. Tell me how, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. I get a little bit of discovery going on, pull off the gold, see what's going on there. And then from there, I explain to them what the, extract is, the lymphatic system. And then I lay them down on the table, always facing up. And I'll grab their arm and I'll do a little bit of a touch test. I'll say, this is the area that we're going to touch. And I'll do the seeing. And then when we come to a blockage, it might feel more like this. If it gets too much, let me know. You're in control. And then we'll go ahead and lighten up. But what I tell them is, as I'm moving that fluid and that blockage, it gets less and less. And people are like, are you still working on me? Because it was really tender and it's not anymore. I'm like, yeah, we just moved it. I mean, it's that quick. Remember that A, accelerated? That's a key here. It's acceleration. It's not
Right.
like a massage where it's a feely, make you feel good type of thing. And I don't have soft music playing. I'm talking to my clients. They're expressing to me when things pop up. Sometimes emotions pop up. And I said, listen, if emotions popping up, that's your body healing itself. Let that happen. That's part of your release. That's part of your body doing what it needs to do to heal. So let that happen. That's part of, I get people to cry on the table, laugh, scream, burp, throw up, you name it. They're just removing junk that needs to be removed. And it's coming on that level, the cellular level, maybe a memory that's popping up that comes up. I have people that look younger. They walk in the door, their spouses go, what the heck happened to you? You look like you're 10 years younger, because we're resetting a memory. We're changing the memory, the pattern that they were holding on to. It's getting pulled up.
Right. So there is a huge emotional connection there, and an emotional impact then that
Huge.
has.
Absolutely huge. I truly believe it's the root, and then the body just manifests from there. So yeah, the lymphatic system is the communication to the emotions, and they communicate together. So whatever's going on here is going on here, and then when you release them, they go together.
Okay. Are there any age restrictions with using this technique?
I worked on children as young as 2 and people as old as 90.
Okay. Excellent. Will you tell us a little bit about your facilitators?
Sure. Well, I used to be a speaker for Young Living, so I traveled around with some of the top people in Young Living, because I actually called one of the ladies who's one of the top people, Diamond, in Young Living, and I did a session on her and her husband. She was so blown away. She goes, you're going to travel with me and tell the world about this. And so that's kind of how it happened. So most of them are distributors. They do use oils. This is a fabulous marriage for oils, whether you're using Young Living oils or doTERRA, it doesn't matter. This is a great delivery system for oils, because what it does is it helps support, maintain what's going on as the body's eliminating, right? And it helps to support the immune system as it's going through. It helps with this frequency level as it's creating a new frequency. It all just kind of works together. So I say this is a beautiful marriage. I actually, I wrote a little love story between the two of them. It's really a cool little story, because I see it as a marriage. And they complement each other. Now, I will tell you, I've done extract before I even knew about the company. It still works. Extract just takes it to a whole nother level. Remember I told you, any modality, you bring it in with extract, it just takes it to a whole nother level. So yeah, I believe that that's all part of it. And so what I'll do is I'll get them on the table. I explain to them where I start to, what areas I focus on. I go into the groin, I go into the armpits, I hit the mastoid, sinuses, all that. Make sure they're comfortable. And then I start the process. And I always start on the left side, because that's the emotional part, right? That's the heart side. And then I go right to the arm, the left leg, and then I go all the way around. So the whole process is about an hour, 15 minutes. My facilitation instructors are in 13 states. We're in Canada. We're starting to go international. We are starting to go into different areas. We're in a process of scaling and growing our academy. We've been around since 2012. We are an accredited academy, which means we're accredited with the AAC, the American Accreditation Commission.
Mm-hmm.
And that means people can get continuing education credits. It doesn't matter if you're a nurse, doesn't matter if you're a massage therapist. We're also through the NTCMD, And I also can get people the ability to get certified if they're housewives and mothers and fathers and they want to do it for their family. So I can really help anybody in whatever level they want to go to, if they want to be a facilitator or a teacher. And we're growing and scaling because I'm taking this globally. This is going to go to every city and every state, every nation. It's going to be in every state, and this will be a household name because people need this. It's time to get this out there, and I need help to do it. Can't do it by myself. That's why I'm here.
Excellent. So what all is involved in their training?
So it's in two parts. The first part, they do an online self-paced. It's through my academy. And then we do a live in person. And we have them in different areas. We have some going on in Boston, Indiana, Palm Springs, where I'm from, Florida, Indiana. We're going to be having some in New York. We have a big one coming in Nashville. So we're pretty much all over the globe. I'm in the process of updating that because we're getting more events coming on daily. So I will post that in my website for people so that they can see where those locations are. And they start out on the online, and we basically get them going there. They get an overview. There's 30 hours of video of me teaching it. There's a lot of PDFs, case studies, a lot of fun little courses that they can go through, just a lot of information. And let me just give you a really fun little tip. Did you know that we have more lymphatic fluid than we do blood? So those are some things that people need to know, the importance of the lymphatic system.
Okay. This is going back a little bit, but we did get a question about fertility. Have you seen it impact fertility at all?
I have not, but I do have a woman who is a midwife, and she's in Texas, and she gave me a testimony, and she said that this one couple in particular have been trying to have a baby, and she doesn't know if it was a coincidence or if it was right after extract, but right after extract, she ended up getting pregnant. She was getting a series of 6. We do recommend a series of 6 to get people to a certain point, and then after that, we reevaluate. We want to do at least one every other day or twice a week because we're creating that new memory. The more we do, the faster it goes, right? Acceleration. And it's just a matter of what people's budgets are and what their time frame is. But I'm telling you, as a practitioner, once you get your people to that level where they start to see results, they feel it and see it after the first session, they're excited and they want to keep going.
Definitely, definitely. So what is it that makes your process so unique?
Well, I think we kind of already went over that. You know, we don't just go from node to node. Right. We redirect it. It's out of the box. So I'm hitting areas that most people don't hit. I'm going a little deeper than most traditional lymphatic work. So it's very unorthodox in the way that people have been traditionally trained. I've had people who've done hours upon hours of experts in the lymphatic, and I'll do a session on them, maybe even a half, just a upper, and they're blown away. Like, I can feel it. I can see what you're doing. I can feel the movement. I can feel the flow. I know you're doing something to my energy. I can feel it. So what I can tell you is that the proof's in the pudding. We've got a case study. You'll see some of the results in the case study. And what I can tell you is people, they just see results really quickly.
Excellent. That is great.
If anybody's interested in learning more about this process, I have a website. If you go to learnextract.com, it's LEARNXTRACT. You can directly email me at extractyou@gmail.com, XTRACTYOU@gmail.com. We work with nurses. We get them CEs. This is an amazing opportunity if you want to scale your company, your practice, and just take it to a whole nother level.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Nina. We really appreciate your time with us today. We've had some excellent questions and learned a lot of great information. So thank you so much for being here and being willing to present for us. We would like to announce our next webinar as well. Join us on Wednesday, August 1st. It's the first Wednesday of August at 10 o'clock a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And we will have another presenter to join us. So thank you all for being here today. We appreciate your attendance, and we'll see you next month.